Hello, and welcome to this course on dyslexia. Hello, my name is Nicole Boynton, and I have been an occupational therapist for 22 years and a mom for 12. I have 3 children, 12, 10, and 7. All 3 have neurodivergent diagnoses. I have been tutoring students with dyslexia for the past 3 years, and I am a certified structured literacy dyslexia interventionist. So over 80% of pre-service and in-service teachers were surveyed, and they believe a characteristic of dyslexia is to see words or letters backwards, and many people think dyslexia is a visual perceptual difficulty. This is not true. It is a very big misunderstanding of what dyslexia really is. Prevalence of dyslexia is 20% of the population, and then 40% of students with dyslexia also have a comorbidity. A comorbidity is when there's 2 or more diagnoses in the same person. A comorbidity can be found between disorders that are in the same diagnostic grouping, so like a reading and math disorder, and they're both learning disorders, or between disorders that are different diagnostic groupings, like reading disorder and maybe a behavioral emotional disorder. Rates of comorbidity between reading disorders and other neurodevelopmental disorders vary widely, but on average are about 40% of the children with a reading disorder or dyslexia will have another disorder as well. Many children with dyslexia have oral language problems extending beyond the phonological domain, and a high incidence of other language issues or ADHD, ADD are also in this population. So what is dyslexia? According to the International Dyslexia Association, dyslexia is a specific learning disability that is neurobiological in origin. It is characterized by difficulties with accurate and/or fluent word recognition and by poor spelling and decoding abilities. These difficulties typically result from a deficit in the phonological component of language that is often unexpected in relation to other cognitive abilities, and the provision of effective classroom instruction. Secondary consequences may include problems in reading comprehension and reduced reading experience that can impede growth of vocabulary and background knowledge. So dyslexia is a neurological condition caused by different wiring in the brain. There is no cure for dyslexia, and individuals with the condition must learn coping strategies. Research indicates that dyslexia has no relationship to intelligence. Individuals with dyslexia are neither more or less intelligent than the general population. Due to this, a lot of our students with dyslexia know that they are having issues in some area, and it can decrease their self-confidence. Dyslexia is usually inherited. It's lifelong, and although it can be remediated with correct instruction, dyslexia is included as a specific learning disability in the DSM-5. The DSM-5 is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual 5th edition. This reference is for cognitive, emotional, and psychological disorders. As such, it is covered by the Americans with Disabilities Act. So the DSM-5, or the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, has criteria for dyslexia. Having difficulties in at least one of the following areas for at least 6 months despite targeted help. Difficulty reading, and this can include inaccurate, slow, or reading with much effort. Difficulty understanding the meaning of what is read. Difficulty with spelling. Difficulty with reading expression, like problems with grammar, punctuation, or organization of the paper. Having academic skills that are substantially below what is expected for the child's age, and it also causes problems in schoolwork or everyday activities. The difficulties begin during school age, even in some people who don't experience significant problems until adulthood. So in adulthood, academic work and day-to-day demands are greater, and sometimes we see that is when dyslexia becomes a major issue. Learning difficulties are not due to other conditions, such as intellectual disability, vision or hearing problems, a neurological condition, like a stroke or something, adverse conditions such as economic or environmental disadvantages, lack of instruction, or difficulties speaking or understanding the language. Dyslexia impacts reading or phonic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, writing, spelling, or comprehension. Other things that can also be impacted are handwriting, which is called dysgraphia, math, dyscalculia, and coordination dyspraxia. Some signs of dyslexia include difficulty with phonological awareness, so the hearing, identifying, manipulating the phonemes. The phonemes are the smallest sounds in a word. So like in the word the, v, not being able to identify that there are two sounds. Difficulty with phonics or correlating sounds with the letters. Difficulty with learning to decode or break down printed word into speech. Difficulty learning to spell, which is called orthography, or write or name letters that form a word in the correct sequence. Difficulty with comprehension or understanding what the words or the sentences mean. And difficulty with orthographic mapping. Orthographic mapping is a formation of the letter-sound connections to bond spelling, punctuation, and meanings of specific words to memory. So basically, orthographic mapping is how we store words into our long-term memory. So the best results for students with dyslexia is when you get accommodations and specialized instruction. So students with dyslexia should have accommodations in classrooms. Common methods to support student needs include extra time on assignments and tests, assisted technology, and alternative ways to demonstrate the knowledge of the subject matter without relying on reading, writing, or spelling to do so. So like having extra time on tests, spell check or a dictionary available for essay tests, a quiet location to take the tests, in higher grades, text-to-speech program while working on the intervention, notes from the teacher or a classmate, and math facts and a calculator for math tests. Structured literacy. A student with dyslexia must ultimately build skills necessary for reading, writing, and spelling. Best results are achieved when the student receives instruction based on matching their neurological processing. Each student can learn when taught appropriately. The standard approach currently in schools is balanced literacy, which is significant for students with dyslexia. Students benefit from learning the English language in detail, mastering sound symbol correspondences, syllable patterns, and the structure of our English writing system, or orthography. The student benefits when this instruction is provided in a multisensory way, relying not just on one or two neural pathways, but several at the same time. This preferred approach is endorsed by the Orton-Gillingham Academy, also referred to as the science of reading. Students build skills from these basics of the alphabet to the complexities of multisyllable words and the Greek Latin origins of English called morphology. Orton-Gillingham, or the science of reading. Students who complete a course of instruction as described are generally able to achieve grade level and often beyond, and they acquire knowledge not commonly taught in the standard curriculums. It is important that this instruction be provided by a qualified dyslexia interventionist with credentials in the American Language, Speech Therapy, and/or Science of Reading. Here is a list of resources for more information. These are places to find things to help understand more about dyslexia, more about accommodations, and more about interventions. Thank you for joining me today. Please email any questions you have to contact@dyslexiaachievementcenter.com, and I look forward to hearing from you.